You know, my belief is to make a difference, we have to be focused. We've got to be the best at what we're trying to do. And so our focus is the Golden Triangle of Northwest British Columbia. We spend a lot of time with our First Nations partners.
Welcome investors. We are at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. The StockPulse is on location. I've got Walter Coles Jr. He is the president and CEO at Skeena Resources, SKREF on the venture. What's that SKE on that Vancouver exchange? Well, appreciate you stopping by and
yeah,
give
my
us
pleasure.
a little
Thanks
update.
for giving me a few minutes to chat with you.
Absolutely. So let's get right into the hardest part of this. Let's talk about 18. I mean, what a rough year. The shareholders, the markets didn't reward you. The work probably got done, setting up for a big 19. Let's go talk about how painful it was.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely very difficult. The macro forces were lined up against us. It felt like every way possible. Investors, I think mining was just a bad word. You know, it had to be tech or cannabis. But my personal feeling is that's when we have the best opportunities. That's when we need to put our heads down and work twice as hard, because that's when we lay the foundation to reap the benefits when the market turns.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, Feds looks like they might back off rates, might set up a nice environment for gold. That's got to go into your thinking a little bit here. So how do you take that and move forward here?
I mean, we agree. We have a long-term, very bullish view on precious metals. But again, it's hard to predict the timing of when that might happen. So we try to lay out a longer-term, multi-year strategy that we are executing on, you know, every week, every month, every year.
And speaking of that, 18 was in the trenches. Why don't you talk about the work that you did in setting up for 19?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a difficult industry to make money in, and it's full of risks, full of ways to lose money. So we tried to mitigate that by our corporate strategy, which was to go and buy old, closed down mines that had been very profitable, but were closed because the metal prices were low. And our idea is metal prices are higher now than they were a decade ago. So if we could go buy old assets and revitalize them, redefine how much mineralization is left, put those assets back into production in a higher price environment. And we were able to acquire 2 significant assets over the last 2 years from Barrick, which we are working right now to move those assets ahead.
Yeah, let's drill down on that a little bit. Let's talk about Eskay here. Got some work going here. I want you to.
Yeah, you know, there's a trader's maxim that says, cut your losses and let your profits run. And I think that can apply to assets in a portfolio of a mining company that we've worked really hard on probably 5 assets now. And it's funny, when you stumble into one that's just working, Eskay, I mean, Snip is working well too, but it's just amazing. Eskay is the gift that just keeps giving. And I think we have a lot of really positive news to come in the next 6 months with Eskay.
Can you tell us a little about that news?
Yeah, sure. So we put out a resource last September, and it exceeded our expectations internally. We thought, you know, maybe we'd have between 500,000 and 1 million ounces, and the initial resource came out at almost 1.9 million ounces. So we've done a bunch of infill drilling, and we're going to move there was 1 million ounces of indicated. We're going to increase that over 1.5 million ounces, I expect. And then in terms of the total size, you'll see a bump in that as well. And our goal is by the end of Q1 to have the next resource update out, which will accomplish that goal. Then in Q2, we'll have metallurgy completed, probably in the middle of Q2. And then our goal is to have a PEA completed by the end of Q2.
Market ought to like that. Should get some decent conditions here. But give us a little blue sky here. Seems like that's
so Eskay is not so much exploration. It was going in and mining all of the data, which I love, because it's a lot cheaper to mine, you know, 800,000 meters of drill data than to go out and drill 800,000 meters of new drilling. I mean, one is a fraction of the cost of the other one. But you're absolutely right. You got to go out and drill to make discoveries. And so that's what we're doing with Snip right now. We've identified, we think, what's left, and now we're working on expanding that with new discoveries, new exploration. And so come in June, we'll be back at Snip, drilling both underground and on surface. We've got a fabulous partner in Hochschild on that asset, and so we're working with them to define that upcoming exploration program. but the Snip mine produced over 1 million ounces at 1 ounce per ton. Like, you rarely hear mines that produce that kind of grade. And the best opportunity to find an awesome deposit is right next to, you know, in the shadow of a head frame. Everybody says that. Sure. So that's what we're working on with Snip. So you get the blue sky with Snip, and I believe you're going to see a layup, a pretty incredible PEA come out of Eskay Creek in the next 6 months.
The next question was going to be a lot of names in this room. How do you differentiate yourself? You kind of did that, but when you talk about...
you know, my belief is to make a difference, we have to be focused. We've got to be the best at what we're trying to do. And so our focus is the Golden Triangle of Northwest British Columbia. We spend a lot of time with our First Nations partners. We spend a lot of time with government regulators, with the politicians in the province of BC. So I personally think, as a junior, we're the most well-rounded of juniors. We're not just about exploration, we're about social license, we're about environmental sustainability. So I think we have a very well-rounded company that's unique for a company that's as small as we are.
All right, well, we'll look forward to seeing some news here.
Awesome.
So Walter Coles Jr., he's the president and CEO of Skeena Resources, SKE on the venture, SKREF, over the counter in the States. Hey, Walter, appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.